Hello student, welcome to Unique Computer. I am Charu, software and website developer. I am MC certified. I have been teaching as instructor for 5 years. In the lesson that follows, you will develop the skill you need to become as a software developer in the platform of C language. Through this tutorial, you will be learning the various syntax and the proper usage of C programming language. As we all know that Unique Computer is providing a series of video, and in this video you will be gaining understanding of the programming language in a much easier way than before. In this context, this particular video will explain you about the decision making statement just like if, how they work and how you use them to build your program. It's time to get started, so let's begin. By the end of today's video, you will be able to understand if, the various implementation of the operator using if else. Next we will be able to understand the if else if, and finally you will be gaining an understanding of if as well as a nested if else. So we start our first program, which tells us that how to make use of if and various other operators. So what we do is we declare our header file and then we proceed with the main function. We take an input of the character because we have to make use of a various character that we often take in any program, and then we have to check whether this character belongs to a vowel or it's not a vowel. So in this particular program we will be making understanding of whether this particular character which we are taking is a vowel or not. As you can see, in the following program we had made use of the if statement over here, which has taken the input from the user that has got stored in the variable ch, and now we are making a comparison between the variable ch with whether it belongs to a, or we are making a comparison with the caps a. If either of these two is true, then the condition of the statement is found to be true and the body of the if portion will be executed, which will state that the following input taken by the user is vowel. Or if A is not been found to be true, then it will proceed with the next comparison, that is E in the lower case or with the E in the upper case. In this way it will tally with all the vowel in either case, and if any of the vowel is found to be true, it will consider the if statement to be true. In between this comparison we had made use of the logical operator or over here, so that any of the condition need to be evaluated to be true will make the if statement to be true, or else we will move to the else portion, which will make the condition to be found as false. So in this program we saw how we have to make a comparison between a multiple expression with the joining of the or clause resulting in any of the condition to be true. So with the execution of the first program, we proceed to the next program, which tells us about write a program making use of if to find out whether you incur a profit or you incur a loss. So we take a header file and we proceed with the void main. Then we take some variable declaration which are all in context with the float. CP represents the cost price, SP selling price, P profit or L loss, and then we print a statement at the screen which will come as enter cost price and selling price. The user need to provide the cost price as input. So the first input given by the user will go inside the CP, and the second input given by the user will go into the variable called SP, and then we will perform the subtraction between the SP and CP that will result in the amount which will be considered as profit, or the either way around, if we provide a CP on SP, that will result in the loss. Now we will perform an if statement. If the input which has been inside this particular variable is found to be greater than 0. So if we incur a profit, then obviously the profit is going to be greater than 0. In that case, we will be considered as the profit to be made after the transaction, or else if there is in this particular transaction, if it is found to have a negative value, so we will understand that it has incurred a loss. In that case the L will be, in case if the L is greater than 0 over here, so it will have the condition as true, and then it will result in the seller made a loss. So with the following program we also can find out that either there may not be any profit or there may not be any loss. In that comparison both will be found to be true. So with the following program what we have realized is that whatever input the user is going to provide between the cost price and selling price, and after the comparison had been made in respect to the profit or loss, we will be making use of the operator over here. In this context, we are making use of the relational operator to find out whether the relation between P is 0 or L is 0, or there is a relation between P is equal to 0. So in this particular program, we not only saw how to make use of the if statement, we also came across the usage of the relation operator as well. So through this program, we will be able to find out whether the transaction incur any kind of profit and loss. And with that, we move to our next program, which tells us write a program making use of if. So we are once again going to make use of if, and then we will check whether a number is greater than or it is equal to 0. So what we do is we declare the respective header file, and then we write with the main function and we declare the variable. We ask the user to enter a number, and that number gets in the variable num, and then we are checking whether the input given by the user that is stored inside the variable num is greater than 0 or not. If it is so, then the following statement gets printed out: the number given by the user is less than 0. Or else, if the condition is not found to be true, then the if condition next will be evaluated whether the number is greater than 0 or not. If it is so, in that case the comparison is found to be true, then it will display the number is greater than 0. Or else what might happen is that the user has given number as 0 only. In that case, the number given by the user is equal to 0. And with that, we will be able to find out whatever input the user has provided over here will be tallied with all the three comparison, and it is been expected that any of the comparison is found to be true, then the result will be provided according to the given input. So with that, we proceed to the next program, where we find for the first time we are making use of the else as well. So in the previous program, what you saw is we are just making use of the if, and with that we have been able to make ourselves clear that the in case of decision making statement, else is an optional part. It is not necessary that you have to attach your else. You might provide else, or you may not, as per the requirement goes. So in this particular program, we will see that we will take an input from the user, and we will check that the user given input is either even or odd. So we take the necessary variable as num, and we ask the user to enter a number, and the number gets stored in the variable num. Now we are performing a if decision making statement over here. In this context, we are dividing the number in respect to get the remainder, so we are making use of the modulus operator. So what we do is we are making the remainder out, and that remainder we are making a comparison if it is equal to 0 or not. So assume the user has given a number as 3, so in that case we will come across a number remainder as 1, which will not be true, and then we will jump to the else statement, which will give us a number as odd. Or in case if the user has given the number as 0, then number has after the remainder the number we get is 0, in that case the if statement is found to be true, then we move to the even statement where the if part gets executed. So in this way we can make use of the else along with the if. Do remember that the else is an optional part of the if. You may or you may not attach as per the requirement goes. So with that, we move to the next program, which tells us again how to make use of the if else if to compare two number. A similar kind of program, but we made a slight modification over here. We have taken two numbers. The first number goes to the num1 and the second number goes to num2, as we can see in this context, and then we are making a comparison whether both the number is found to be equal. In that case, the result will provide both the number as equal. If else if we are making a comparison whether num1 is greater than num2, in that case the num1 is will be shown as num1 is greater than num2. Or otherwise we may go to the else part, or otherwise it will be just the other way around, because we have already made a comparison between num1 and num2 in respect to both being equal or greater than. So ultimately it will be the other way around, that the num2 is greater than num1. So that is how we can reduce the complexities when we have to go for multiple comparison. We can make use of the else if portion, and with the else if portion we will be able to make the program more easier to understand, like what we have done over here. And then after that we can also write the last else portion, which will be executed if none of the above statement is found to be true. Then only the else portion will be executed. Otherwise, if any of the conditions is found to be true, the else is not going to be executed. So that is how the else if would look like. And since under the if statement there is only one statement associated, that's the reason we are not using any kind of parenthesis. Just like the way we have written over here, the single statement associated with this if, similarly the single statement associated with this else if, and similarly the single statement associated with the else. So in all the instances we have seen that only one if statement or else statement or else if statement associated with one statement. That's the reason in none of the statement we have gone for the parenthesis. But if the number of statements increase more than one, we have to make use of the parenthesis. So with that we move to our next program, which tells us write a program making use of if else to check whether it's a leap year or not. So for that we are taking the respective variable, suppose year, and we are asking the user to enter a year, and the year is getting stored in the variable year. Now we are making a comparison directly that if the year is modulus by 400, we get a 0, and then we will say that the year is leap year. Or else if we move to the next condition where the year is modulus by 100, if it is resulted in a 0, we will also say that the year is not a leap year. Or else if we, in comparison to the last program, now we are finding that the two else have been used in this program. If the year is modulus by 4 equals to 0, then we will say that the year is leap year. Or finally, if none of these above condition is found to be true, then we will go directly to the else part, which will tell us the year is not a leap year. So in this way, what we have seen is that with the number of condition getting increment, we can associate the multiple else if portion for respective to the respective condition. And as I have already said, if a single statement associated with the respective condition, in that case we need not have to make use of the parenthesis, just like the way we did. And finally, at the default part, we can associate a single else, and this else is going to be true if none of the above if statement or else if statement is found to be true. So with that we move to our next program, which tells us again how to make use of the if, and with that if we can also make use of the go to statement, but actually we have separately designed the go to in other programs. In this program we will only come across the if, but in the next program we will again come across the go to statement as well, which will be a slight modification in context to the previous programs, and that will be much more easy to understand. And this is just the replica of the first program. So we proceed to the next program as well, and in this case what we find is a modification being done in comparison to the first program. What we did over here is like the else if portion has been put inside the if portion itself. Like if the year is modulus 100 divided by result in a 0, if this is found to be true, then it will enter into the body of the if statement. And if the year is modulus 400 is equal to 0, then only we will say it's leap year. Or else if the first condition is true but the second condition not found to be true, in that case we will consider as to be not a leap year. If the first condition over here is found to be false, then we will go to the else portion, and inside the else portion we will tally with the first condition, that is if the year modulo 4 is equal to 0, then we will say it's a leap year, or else we will say it's not a leap year. So in this way what we can do is that we can go for a nested if statement as well, and inside the if we can separately go for a tally and comparison to find out whether the thing is working or not. So by the end of this video we have understood that how to make use of the various decision making statement, and in the upcoming video we will be concentrating on looping, the different type of looping that are made use of, such as the for loop, and with that we will get into the do while loop, and we also get understanding of the while loop. Now generally what happens, implementation of looping also make use of certain keywords like break and the continue. So with all these things we will be coming across in the upcoming video, and before we proceed to the upcoming video, it is much advisable that you have gone through the if portion, and we will also check out that how the implementation of the if that is taking place in case of looping. So with this I come to an end of this video. Hope you enjoyed. My next video, as I've already stated, is based on looping. Before we sign off, I would wholeheartedly welcome your feedback at my number 9903397290, or mail me at helpdesk helpdesk@uniquest.org.in. Thank you. Meet you soon.